Judy Baca. Chapter 1. Young Judy Baca. Do you think real art hangs over in dusty frames on the walls of art museums? Think again. Some people create large artworks on blank walls. These artworks are called murals. Judy Baca is an American mural artist. She has painted or helped organize the painting over 2,000 murals. Judy was born in 1946. Her family is originally from Mexico. As a young girl, Judy lived in Los Angeles with her mother, 2 aunts, and a grandmother she adored. Her mother worked in a tire factory. Her grandmother cared for her while her mother earned money to feed the family. This mural, which features an elephant and a peace dove, brightened up a parking building. When Judy was 6, her life changed. Her mother married, and the pair moved to another part of Los Angeles. The rest of Judy's family stayed behind in the old neighborhood. Judy has always spoken in Spanish, but in the new neighborhood, she wasn't allowed to speak Spanish at school. She had few Mexican-American classmates. At first, Judy struggled to pronounce and understand English words. Often, the teacher gave Judy art supplies so that she could draw or paint when she couldn't follow lessons. She soon grew to love painting. When she finished school, she became the first person in her family to go to college. She studied modern art. After college, Judy taught art at her old high school. Then, in 1870, she got a job working for the city council in Los Angeles. She taught the art in the park of a neighborhood called Boyle Heights. Different groups of teenagers hung out there in parks, and they did not get along. Judy asked 20 of the teens to help her paint a mural. Sometimes the teens' graffiti divided the neighborhood. Judy wanted them to learn to work together without fighting. She hoped that the mural would be a good way to help them realize that the neighborhood belonged to all of them. Some people in the country tried to disturb work on the mural, but Judy wouldn't quit. She made the project work, and the mural was finished. People loved it, and the members of the public often placed flowers and candles underneath it. Boyle Heights was an American neighborhood. The mural appealed to people's Mexican heritage. It became a symbol of unity. The mural was called Mi Abuelita, my grandmother. It showed a Mexican-American grandmother with outstretched arms. She looked as if she was offering a hug. Mi Abuelita, which means my grandmother, was painted in a park in Boyle Heights. The success of Mi Abuelita helped Judy start a citywide mural program. She designed the murals and hired young people to organize the crews that would paint them. From 1974, these young people created 500 murals in the streets of Los Angeles. Sometimes, city officials didn't like Judy's ideas for murals. Judy wanted the program to have as much freedom as possible. So, in 1976, she started another group called the Social and Public Arts Resource Center, or the SPARC. SPARC's goal is to create art for people of all different backgrounds and cultures. Artist Rip Kronk painted this mural for SPARC in 1989. The murals of Mexico. Murals have long history in Mexico. The ancient Maya painted images on the walls of their templates. Much later, in the 19th, there was Los Tres Grandes, 3 great Mexican mural artists. Their names were Diego Rieva and Jose Clemente Rosso and David Alfaro Sequer. These men painted murals to comment on social conditions in Mexico. Judy Baca admired their work. David Alfaro's girls painted this image of a woman and their babies. Chapter 2. The Great Wall of Los Angeles. In 1976, Judy and Spark were asked to paint a mural along a lengthy concrete wall in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is made up from people of many different cultures. Judy wanted to show that these people all contributed to the area. She decided to show their struggles and the things they achieved. Judy talked to the history expert and local people before creating a design for the mural. There aren't only famous men and women on the mural. It also tells the stories of everyday people. It shows the history of California. The mural is called the Great Wall of Los Angeles, and it starts in 20,000 BC. One section shows the Native American people who lived there in the area. Another section before the arrival of Spanish explorers. The mural also shows a period of the Mexican control and the immigrants that later came to California. It shows that poor treatment have received. It shows that Hispanic people fighting for equal rights. This section of the Great Wall shows us the Native American people who first lived in the area. This section of the Great Wall shows Asian Americans gaining citizenship of the U.S. The Great Wall of Los Angeles is 13 feet high and half a mile long, making it the longest mural on the planet. Over 400 people helped to paint it from 1976 to 1983. Many of these people are teenagers who came from different backgrounds. So far, it has taken about 75,000 hours to paint the Great Wall. However, Judy wasn't done yet. Right now, she is organizing designs that will show the latest issues and events. This team of painters worked on the Great Wall of Los Angeles in the 1980s. I hope that when people see this mural, they will forget all their prejudices and try to live with each other no matter what race in peace. 16 years old Great Wall painter Sergio Moreno. Looking after the Great Wall. The Great Wall is getting old. Some parts have been around for 35 years. The mural has coped with the sun, rain, and pollution. The colors were fading and some plants was peeling off. Now the mural is getting a facelift. A team of people is slowly cleaning up and repainting it. A new group of teens is working side by side with some of the original Great Wall painters. Together, they're bringing all back the bright colors and image back. Judy's helping team of people who wants to clean and repaint the Great Wall. More recent work. In 1996, Judy started the Digital Mural Lab, where people use computers to create murals. The first lab project was called Witnesses to LA History. Judy and colleague students made the 6 large digital images. Each image stood for a different culture group. Judy wanted to show that all of these groups are important. They all help the city to grow and thrive. They all help the parts of the multi-ethnic history of Los Angeles. These murals were hung in California Plaza. This mural was Biddy Mason, who was freed from slavery after arriving in California. Later, Biddy fed and housed the poor and helped start the first elementary school for black children in the area. This banner from the Shoulder to Shoulder project shows 2 teens talking about the future. The lab has been used for other projects too. In 1999, 125 14 years old came together for the Shoulder to Shoulder project. They were from different backgrounds and different cultures. Each teen was teamed up with another they would not usually meet. The teens talk about racism and stereotypes. Then they create artworks that showed what they had learned. They include some of the things they said in the artworks too. The artwork was made into banners. Hundreds of these banners were hung all over Los Angeles. Los Angeles is known as the city of murals. This is partly because of Judy. Judy Baca made Los Angeles a more colorful place. Her murals show even events and ideas that are important to the people from the neighborhoods in which the murals were painted. Judy helped the streets of Los Angeles with images. These images show the struggles, hope, and dreams of the city's people. The Great Wall of Los Angeles could be Judy Baca's greatest achievement. Have the biggest vision you can. If you can dream it, it cannot occur. Judy Baca.